everybody out there. Thank you for joining us today for our session, IT Asset Management, More Than an Inventory List. My name's David Russell. I'm with the customer success team over here at SolarWinds Service Desk. I'm joined today by one of my probably most decorated colleagues, Sean Sebring. And no, he's not an interior designer, but his wall is chock full of ITIL certificates. Sean, how many trees worth of certificates do you have nowadays?
Well, I can't count in the forest, but I've got a stack of ITIL certifications propping up my other ITIL certifications. So decorated, whether I'm an interior designer or not, I'm trying to keep myself ITIL certified as possible.
Awesome. And everyone too, Sean, thank you. Today, we're going to be talking to you about IT asset management, more than an inventory list. And so, Sean, I think when customers come to us a lot of times with looking for help for their asset management, assets live all over the place. Whether it's spreadsheets or assets in the cloud or maybe a system like SCCM, they live everywhere, and it is just that a bunch of lists. So what makes IT management more than just an inventory list?
So one of the things I want to focus on what you said is that it's, there's a bunch of different lists everywhere, right? In 2020, technology has gone everywhere. I've got monitors, I've got VMs, I've got desktops, laptops, network equipment, and they're all managed through different platforms. And it's important to keep managing them through the appropriate platform. But when we think IT asset management, right, we need to be able to see all of those assets that we're managing in one place, right? So we need to be able to pull from our VM source, pull from our Mac source, and put them all into that single pane of glass, right? So we still are going to be operating off of a list, but it's going to be multiple lists, right? A big buzzword is source of truth, right? So we're generating a new source of truth based on multiple sources of truth, right? And I think one of the things we're going to focus on with that is how to take that big list and make it more than just a list, right? Take it and expand beyond just a list for IT asset management.
Awesome. And so, Sean, I think a big thing, probably one of the first things everyone out there is thinking is, we've got all these different places that we're tracking assets now. You mentioned, these different means of discovery or, making it one single pane of glass. I think now's a perfect time to kind of open up the demo and show people kind of how we bring things in from other systems into that single pane of glass within our application.
Yeah, sure. I think that's definitely a good idea. One of the things that I want to focus on when we're getting this started is how we discover. So we've got multiple sources of truth. We need to be able to pull them in. And some of the more classical means are going to be how we can discover our operating system devices, for example, right? We've got an endpoint agent. Folks are used to stuff like that. But there's been newer things, for example, Chrome operating system, right? This is probably one of the newer systems. So we need to be able to pull from that as well. And then, of course, beyond just my OS stuff, I've got network equipment that I need to pull in. I've got printers, for example. They're network IP devices, but I can't really install an agent on them, and I can't pull that in through anything other than maybe just a discovery scanner. So I'm going to need to be able to pull those in all from multiple sources to get that single pane of glass. And my demo's not coming up for me here right now, but to expand on them a little bit more without the screen share that I've got, the agent is exactly what it sounds like. We've got operating system devices, so we need to be able to install something on it and pull that info back. And that discovery agent is going to be probably your most resilient, your most robust in what it can pull back. There's a Chrome plugin that SolarWinds Service Desk offers, so we can pull back from the Chromebooks, which is probably one of the bigger asset pieces for things like schools, right? Universities, education, and kind of going into hospitals too, right? Large staffs, we need to be able to deploy machines in a rapid pace. But then the biggest one is the SolarWinds Discovery Scanner. And that's going to have the most integration capabilities. So when we're talking about things like pulling from multiple sources, the Discovery Scanner is what we're definitely going to capitalize on. And so some of the things, this is where my demo would be great for you guys, to show a list of how can I pull in from multiple sources, right? The Discovery Scanner is going to give you options like pulling from SCCM, right, where you're already collecting information on your Windows devices, pulling in from Jamf, pulling in from vCenter, and definitely a big shout out to our Orion platform, right? And that's beyond just your operating system, especially, right? NPM is one of the products on your Orion platform, and that's pulling in network equipment. Something else I'd like to mention is that with that, you can also integrate, and this is kind of getting ahead of myself here, but I get excited, being able to show the relationship between assets, right? And with the Orion integration, right, using the SolarWinds Service Desk Discovery Scanner, you can pull the info from Orion into your Service Desk, and it's automatically going to help you build the relationships between those assets.
Awesome. Yeah. And Sean, I think the key here is really to understand that, yes, we know assets are going to live in different places, whether it is your Windows or your Mac machines, that live on SCCM or on Jamf, where you're pushing things out. We give you different means of discovery. So like you talked about, there's discovery scanners. We've got a discovery agent that can be installed on operating systems. But whatever the method is that you use today, wherever those assets live, the idea here is that we're going to give you a way to bring everything into a single pane of glass, or into, I know we keep saying it's more than a list, but to bring everything into one master list. So regardless of where it's housed now within our application, I can see, okay, I've got these 100 MacBooks, I've got these 100 Windows machines, I may have servers running, routers, switches. We've got an other asset section, where we can literally track things like headsets or docking stations. So it really is the only limit, I guess your imagination. So I know we don't have a list to pull, but once you get that master list, and again, wherever it's coming from, everything's going to show in our system. It's going to create an object or a record of that asset. And I think, there too, we talk about it. It's awesome. It's a great master list, but the session here, we're talking about what makes asset management more than just a list. So after we've gotten everything into the system, whether wherever we're pulling it from, the various means, everything's now in the system. We've got a master list. I think the next kind of focus is really where do we bring value there? Now that we've got the master list, we know inventory management is more than just a list. So really, where does that value come in? I guess where, as a technician or an agent, day to day, where will this asset management help me? And I think, and maybe probably the best way to do that would be to talk through an example. If I'm, especially, it's something we probably all are used to right now, people are at home. They've got devices at home. Not everyone's in the office yet. So if I'm an end user at home, Sean, and I'm having an issue with my computer or my device, how does having this inventory management incorporated with our service desk really start to come into effect, or where does it come into play there?
So that's exactly where I think we should go next, and that scenario is great, right? Let's handle it by a practical application. So we've got a list, right? We've got that list, and that's good to know what we've got. Now, how does that help me, right? What's the system going to do for me? And I wish I could do my screen share for you, but if I refresh my browser, I'll lose you guys completely. Everything's frozen for me right now, so I'm glad I at least have video and audio to talk to you. But let's talk about that scenario you've given us, David, right? So let's take an example. Someone's reported a ticket, right? A blue screen of death. Maybe they emailed. Maybe they gave a phone call and we're opening the ticket together. Or maybe they put in the ticket on a mobile application, right? So I've got a ticket in front of me. Now, what's the asset management, right? What's the system going to do for me? So from within SolarWinds Service Desk, you can use things like assignment. So I put in a ticket for Robbie Requester. Now I've got Robbie's ticket. The system's going to give me smart suggestions to say, hey, here's Robbie's device, right? It's going to automatically make the suggestion for me to make the association between the device and Robbie's ticket, right? On that same screen, right, I'm just looking at Robbie's ticket. I really haven't done anything yet. I'm also going to have the ability to leverage things like Dameware Remote Everywhere, which is a remote tool, again, to David's point. This is something that's huge right now, right? We don't have the ability to say, Robbie Requester, can you come drop your machine off? That's going to give me Robbie's device information, right? I can see his serial number, his asset tag, and I can just get onto his computer. We're in a remote world, so the system's going to say, here's Robbie's computer. And with Dameware Remote Everywhere, I can join a session so that we can be on his computer together. And that's all from within just your incident view, right? I'm just looking at the ticket that Robbie put in saying he's having that blue screen issue. And we're able to dive in onto his asset together. And I didn't have to go hunting and looking for his asset.
Awesome. And Sean, to give a little more context to everyone out there, let me share my screen here. So Sean, are you able to see this?
It looks like it's coming up, but it could just be me.
Perfect. So and this to everyone out there, I just want to kind of reiterate what Sean had just talked about, but we mentioned this master list and the idea, again, whatever means of discovery, things are going to populate into our application. So we can see if I'm looking here, and this is, I saw a question come through from the application. This is SolarWinds Service Desk. So within the SolarWinds Service Desk, we do have an asset management capability. So we have an inventory component in here, tracking computers, software, different printers, mobile devices, those network devices Sean had talked about, regardless of where they're discovered from, whether it's routers, switches. But what Sean had just mentioned, where it really comes into play on the day-to-day is within the ticket. So as he had said, Robbie requester, or an end user at home has put in a ticket. They're having an issue with their device at home. So we now, as a service desk, we've got an incident that will come in. We'll know, Robbie requester is having issue X, Y, or Z, whatever it may be. As this loads, I'll show you. But what's really powerful in here, and so we can actually see if we're looking at mine, a lot of these are resolved. But here's that broken laptop. And this has actually come in, you can see, from myself. But as we click in, we're going to get some information, obviously about the issue, that the requester's having an issue with a broken laptop or something going wrong at home. So they're able to come in here, and where the asset management piece will really tie in is we know there's an issue. Obviously here, once this loads, you'll see it's a laptop issue. We know we're managing laptops. It's one of the assets that we track and want to keep record of. So as this issue comes in from the different end users that are at home, you're going to see a couple things within our application. And the first thing is going to be some artificial intelligence, some machine learning, giving you some suggestions. One of those suggestions being, hey, David sent in a ticket. We know David's the owner of this device because you guys have put in the information or pulled in the information from the discovery method. So we know David's the owner of this device. We can now associate that asset record that we're tracking to this actual ticket from the end user. So an end user is now at home, they're having issues. When I come to this related tab, I can actually see the computer that this user owns. So I can see the device, the laptop that is broken, the device that's in question. So you can start to build these relationships behind the computers, behind the assets as they come in from end users that are having issues. And so that's the big
That's
piece there
perfect,
first.
David. That's exactly where I was trying to go. So thanks for covering for me.
No, absolutely. And Sean, to you, you'd already mentioned this as well, but the Dameware Remote Everywhere. And this is another piece. Again, we know what computer it is. We know David's having an issue with another SolarWinds product in Dameware. We can actually create and start up a remote session with this end user right from within the ticket. So rather than David having to sit there and wait or come into the office on Monday and bring us his computer, I can remote in to his device right now, start up a session. He logs in, I log in. We can fix the issue, whatever it may be. And again, eventually the idea to resolve the ticket. So that's really there. And Sean, I'm sure you can talk to this a little more, but that's the idea that makes this more than just an inventory list. So while, yes, it is important to have that source of truth, that single pane of glass where all the assets we track live, where it really comes into play on the day-to-day is, as an agent, I need to know, what's broken. What are these devices in question as tickets are coming in? And we'll touch on this in a minute, but if David's had this same issue with the laptop, 3 or 4 times this month, or maybe looking back, over the last quarter, we can see he's had a broken laptop 5 or 10 times, within the last couple months. So it's on our side time to determine to come to the consensus is it better to work and try to fix and replace this laptop for David, or do we look in and see, maybe we should just get him a new laptop? And we'll go into the actual record here and talk a little bit about that history and that life cycle. But
yeah,
Sean,
I think that's a great next place for us to go.
But everything you see here, yeah. Cool. So let me do that too, guys. While I have the screen share here, that's sort of the next piece. So again, day to day, we're going to be working with end users who are going to have issues with devices, and we need to make sure that those devices work so that they can do their job. So if we're going in, and obviously now I've clicked from the ticket record, I've actually clicked on that related object or that asset that we're tracking, which is a computer or a PC. So this is something that's pulled in from our agent. You're going to see a ton of tabs over here. This is what Sean had mentioned at the beginning, the power, the reporting capabilities behind the agent. I mean, it's going to pull back at, Sean, what is it, about 250 different data points, about the actual individual record. So aside from just information about the device, where it's really going to come in handy throughout the lifecycle management or the asset management piece of this, is being able to look historically what's gone on with this record. What sort of issues or ownership changes or maybe repairs have we had on this device. So if I'm looking here at this computer, I've got a lifecycle tab. And one thing to note, you guys see the warranty information. I do apologize. This is a demo account, so not everything is accurate and up to date. But with a lot of devices, Dell, Lenovo's, we'll actually pull warranty information as well. So if we look back and see David's had that broken laptop issue 3 or 4 times, and we pull up the inventory record and see, well, his warranty's out of date. We know his computer's 3 or 4 years old. It's probably not worth, reimaging or trying to repair. So let's just go ahead and order him a new machine and go through that process. But within the life cycle, we can see any ownership changes, anytime the status has changed from in repair to operational. So we can really start to dig into what's gone on with this machine in the past. And then I keep talking about these incidents, and I touched on relating a ticket to an asset, but that comes into play here. So again, besides just that life cycle, seeing any changes or any past history, maybe warranty information, I can also see any past ticket. So again, this is that most recent one that you just saw me create that relationship with the broken laptop. But this is where I was getting into the fact that I could look here and see, the next time David puts in this broken laptop device or this broken laptop ticket, I can see it's happened before. And whether it's maybe clicking into here and figuring out how did I fix that last time so that I don't have to spend 20 minutes, figuring out how to fix this issue. It's happened before. I can dig right in, look at the past, fix it again quickly. Or again, maybe it's just time to decide, should we really keep this machine, or, should we work and check our spare inventory, go back to our list, see what do we have in spare, what sort of devices could we hand out or give David to replace this so he can kind of get back to his day-to-day. Sean, I know that was a lot of screen sharing, a lot of me talking through, and I kind of stole your thunder, but talk to the people out there. I think the key here is to really understand the value behind this, and again, how does asset inventory management become more than just a list?
I swear this wasn't rehearsed, but this would have been a perfect time for you to leverage our more than IT asset management and remote into my machine and help me fix my browser troubles, right? So it's stuff like that that's exactly the use case we're talking about, right? I've got a list. I can go through a spreadsheet and I can see what Sean's computer is. But since Sean had an issue and he's got a ticket in, right? He put that ticket in on his phone. And I'm recapping here, right? I need to be able to leverage my asset management to pair it with service management, right? Otherwise, it is just a list. And so using all these things, looking at the history, looking at the warranty, right, being able to leverage more than just that list, right, that's going to get me to be able to better serve the end user, right? Not just the end user, but the business too, because while the examples we looked at and talked about are the more simple and practical ones of assisting a single end user, sometimes asset management goes much more above and beyond that, right? Asset management can scale way past that towards, let's say, a switch, right? A network switch, a server, right? Assets are much bigger than just someone's computer sometimes. So it's really important to recognize that just because you have it in a list doesn't mean you're done with asset management, right? Service management is a lot of why we are here. It's to support a business. And with that being said, being able to take those devices and leverage them for more than just a single person's ticket, being able to leverage them for things like your change enablement practices, your problem management practices, for things like troubleshooting an outage, right, that was unknown, or for planning, which is a big one for me on change enablement, right? If we're planning to make a change to a big asset, right, a more global asset like a switch or firewall or something that's going to manage multiple connections, we need to be able to see that device, that asset, and the history that goes along with it. And being able to have all of that in the same place that you're doing your normal service management stuff for your incidents, that's a big win, right? That single pane of glass when it comes to taking that list and using it for more. And it looks like David's doing a good job
Sean,
of pulling up an example here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as you were saying that, I think that's probably a great thing to touch on, because the example we gave and kind of what we talked about so far is bringing in a list, having that list to be able to assist those end users on a day-to-day. But like you had mentioned, what really makes asset management more than just a list is beyond the single user. Like you said, change management, problem management. So those situations we get in, and we'll keep a simple example here, but if we're going to take a server down, it's Friday today, if we're going to take a server down tonight for a couple hours just to add more hardware, more disk space, so to that server, we need to know when that goes down, what else is going to be affected? What applications, what business processes run on that server? Do we have users or computers that are tied to that server? So you mentioned the CMDB, or the configuration management database, and I think that's a great way to kind of help visualize this here. And so it's a high level example, and this is getting a little into the weeds. But if you look at the screen here, what I'm showing is an object or a configuration item that we've created here for an asset we own in HQ, in our building. So I know that's not typically, something when we think IT asset management, an asset that we own or that we're tracking. But our building HQ houses our main data center. That main data center has 10, 15 different servers in it that are running different business applications and hosting different processes. So if something was to happen to that main server room, we need to know what all is going to be affected. So if we're looking here at HQ, I can see some details just around this building, some information, employees, parking spots. But what really comes into play with this asset management piece are these dependencies. So as I mentioned, this is the parent, or houses our main data center. If I click into our main data center, it's going to pull up a record of that room, of that server room, and everything that's housed in it. So that is where we're thinking about these larger processes. The example I use, simple, just taking down a server, but that server lives in our main data center. It's running, X, Y, and Z business processes. So when I take it down tonight from 8 to 10 p.m., if for whatever reason someone's trying to work late night, they're not going to be able to, and I need to know what's going to be affected, so that if I need to spin them up on a secondary server or a cloud server, I'll be able to do all that here. So now from that HQ, I see our main data center. I can see any information that we discover about it. And then the key here is those dependencies again. So beyond just that HQ, I can see the different computers that run on this server. I can see it's hosting our payroll application. It belongs to our HQ building, and it hosts one of our business services. So the idea there again is being able to to take inventory management, asset management beyond just a list, and even looking more so beyond just a list, we can turn it into a map. So what I just clicked here is our visual map, which takes it again a little further, but for those more global, not the scenarios where we are just helping David, the end user, get back online so that he can do his job. If I'm looking here, I can even branch out in the visual aspect from our main data center, see all the computers in the building that it runs on, the business service that's running. If this computer is associated to anything else. So there's that business service. I can see the computers that run on it. And we can sort of build out this spider web so that we can see, again, how assets relate to each other. How are things interconnected? So again, thinking more global or high level at the organizational level, if we need to change something or if we need to implement a new system or whatever the case may be, knowing how objects connect or what's going to be affected when we take whatever action it may be. That's what truly makes the asset management piece of this more than just a list. So it's bringing it into the organization as a whole, your day-to-day, your more high-level, long-term projects, or even just simple changes. So I will, Sean, I'll stop sharing there. Again, I know that was a lot of me just talking. So I'll let you kind of wrap it up, and again, just kind of sum it up for everyone out there.
Yeah, and when it comes to the IT asset management, right, making it more than just the list, a list is a starting place. So if you've got a list, that's definitely a great place to start. But the idea is to try and take it and David, you still got your screen share going on. There you go. Taking that list and making it go beyond just that, right? Leveraging it for your service management practices. If I'm here for anything, it's for ITIL, right? So ITIL has these practices to give you a framework, right? And some of the big things are service management, right? So we want to put the asset management right next to it. And that's exactly what the SolarWinds Service Desk is trying to do with these things. It's trying to give you the option to take your asset management, pull from any source that you can think of. If we don't have a native integration, we can get custom integrations, right? We can pull from a huge number of sources and bringing it in to get that single list. Use that list with your service management practices, incidents, changes, problems. One of the things that I just want to let folks know today is David is a huge winner for helping us out with this demonstration today. Technical difficulties are not going anywhere. That's what's going to keep us all employed, and hopefully with technologies like the SolarWinds Service Desk, today we're focusing on IT asset management. That's just going to make everybody's job a little bit easier.
Yeah. Sean, thank you. And thank you everyone out there too for listening. I know whatever difficulties or anything we had today, I do just want to let everyone know, like I had mentioned, I'm with our customer success team. Sean's with our solution engineers. And we're here to help you. Whatever questions you have, if you want to reach out and have a walkthrough, talk through things in more detail, please don't hesitate to give us a shout anytime. But we appreciate you making time. The session will be live on demand afterwards. So please go back, jot down any questions, and we'll make sure we get you answers. Have a good one, everybody.